Move on to public comment. Now's the opportunity for anyone who's in the audience that wishes to speak. I'd ask that you come up to the front, to the microphone here, state your name and address for the record. Speakers will be limited to 2 minutes to deliver their comments. Kevin here will keep track of the time. At 1:45, he will raise his hand, and I ask that you wrap up your comments at that time. Those speaking are asked to conduct themselves in a respectful manner as they deliver their comments. Audience members are asked to refrain from reacting to comments, and the City Council will not respond directly to comments in this venue or take action, immediate action in response to them. So, the floor is open.
Thank you. Hi, Gail Jorgensen, 249 East Main Street. Thanks, guys. I really appreciated that you listened to the concerns of East Side Corridor and had great questions during the study session. And I also want to thank the mayor for the proclamation for the pregnancy and loss. 44 years ago, I lost a baby. So it was very meaningful. I still grieve that day. And I know, people go on and on about East Side Corridor not being safe enough for the children. And to a certain place, you get numb listening to it. But for whatever reason, I've ended up at funerals for many children. Many, more than I would ever want to be. From infants that were taken off life support, to babies that I knew that grew up and died, and to every one of them. You cannot imagine the weeping of the mothers. These are deep, deep weepings. I've seen moms, and this is all races, all creeds, try to crawl in that coffin. I've seen mothers protest to the funeral director that lid be closed. It is heart-wrenching. There was one that just happened. I knew this child when he was a baby. I held him in my arms when he was a newborn, close to the mom. He just died. He was in his 30s. And that mom, as she bent over his coffin and held his hand all night, 24-hour vigil, just like he did when she came and picked him up when he was sleeping in his crib. That was heart-wrenching. So when people say, in 30 years, this design won't matter because there'll be a new set of rules, it does matter because children might get hurt that aren't born yet, like your grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gail. Yes, sir.
Hello, Keegan Jones, 517 South Cedar Avenue. On behalf of Little Theater of Owatonna, I just want to say a big thank you to the city and the city council for all the support for Little Theater of Owatonna. With the Merrill Hall building updates and our lease agreement, the improvements will make a big difference for LTO in upgrading our facilities and allowing us to better serve the community. We truly appreciate everything that has been done for the building and our organization, and we look forward to continuing this great partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, everyone. I'm Clarissa Dushak. I'm from Weepels Child Care Center, and I'm just representing all of us and saying thank you so much for investing in our building. Child care is a much-needed thing in our community, as everyone knows. This allowed us to add some more rooms to our center and in the future build, so we are so thankful. It looks beautiful, and we cannot wait to get back. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Tyrell Alistair Hunter, 2595 Mossy Creek Drive. Good evening, members of the City Council and fellow citizens. I stand here today representing many concerned residents who have been persistently attending town hall and county meetings seeking transparency and accountability regarding the East Side Corridor project. Our community has been vocal in requesting clear information, but instead we've encountered avoidance, lack of transparency, and at times even what feels like deception from the city and county officials. A recent memo sent to the federal government included in Figure 2, which was a map of the 1993 study. Strangely, this map showed 3 additional neighborhoods that were not part of the original documents from that study. This discrepancy raises serious concerns about the accuracy and integrity of the information presented to the public. We were also told that the city and county would evaluate 5 alternative routes for the corridor. However, before the study even began, 2 of these alternatives were eliminated without any clear justification or data provided. We as citizens deserve to understand why these options were dismissed, but so far no substantial explanation has been given. Meanwhile, alternatives 1 and 2, which had been ruled out in previous studies, were kept in the latest evaluation. This led to a study that was skewed to favor a particular outcome, effectively reducing the study to only one viable option. This type of selective evaluation erodes public trust and undermines the legitimacy of the process. We urge the city and county to address these concerns directly and to ensure this process is open, transparent, and fair to all impacted by the East Side Corridor project. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am.
Melissa Zimmerman, 2525 Stony Creek Drive. Thank you for asking the questions tonight. The East Side Corridor project has been riddled with deception, hidden behind a lack of transparency and communication. Tonight, we finally heard some truth because of you. WSB confirmed the setback will be just 17 feet after misleading us with averages. We've been told over and over that 15 feet was absurd when we said it. But we measured to the right-of-way, not traffic. That's the same distance as 3 of my 4 kids standing arm to arm between traffic and our homes where our children play. We have just 2 feet from mitigations, 2 feet from power lines. How can you fit a noise wall or a trail in that space? Is it possible? Let's be clear, any encroachment onto my property will trigger eminent domain. HUD guidelines state that a road this close will result in condemnation. Can you afford to relocate all of us and redesign the neighborhood? None of the proposed designs fit within a 100-foot footprint with mitigations. None of the proposed mitigations met MnDOT regulations, nor was avoidance, which should be the first step, and was noted in WSB's report included. MnDOT requires 100 feet of mature trees or berms 20 feet high, not the inadequate mitigations proposed. WSB and the county also eliminated safer, more cost-effective options like options 4 and 5 without proper justification. Their own report shows option 4, nearly identical to 29th Avenue, would have added only a few seconds of travel on just one route, yet they discarded it, ensuring feasibility was never studied. Deception again. Finally, we've been denied a proper public comment period with misleading information submitted to the federal government, preventing these concerns from being officially attached to the project. This is unacceptable. We're worth more than this. In the 90s, 29th Avenue was moved out 1,200 feet to protect homes from noise. We can do the same today, making room for another Country View subdivision and ensuring our families' peace and safety and a better travel experience. Why not take this step? Thank you.
Thank you. Sir.
Good evening, Matt Sonnett, 2519 Stony Creek Drive, here also on behalf of several residents on the East Side Corridor project. Why? Because you're partners with the county on this project that's now almost $30 million. My wife and I have 4 young kids. It's not easy to make all these meetings on both levels, but I do, and so do many of our neighbors, because it's important. For those unaware, the East Side Corridor is a north-south highway on the county and city want to build on the east side of town. Makes sense, but instead of choosing a responsible location for the route, the county engineer and WSB are proposing a location that was marked for a highway 30 years ago. Since then, of course, there are houses here, and they are trying to cram what's left into this right-of-way next to these homes in these large neighborhoods. In 2011, the 30-year-old route known as 29th Avenue was abandoned by the county because the studies done by WSB indicated 34th Avenue, just 0.6 miles down the road, was a better route. So why all of a sudden the change in the tune from WSB saying 34th Avenue no longer fits the bill? Is it worth the compromise over Owatonna's resident established neighborhoods with such a short-sighted plan? We're asking for the city and county councils to step in and do something about this. At this joint project, you can make the necessary changes to do what's right before more taxpayer dollars are wasted. Putting more space between our established neighborhoods and this highway is a must. MnDOT says spacing should be 1,200 foot away for noise purposes. None of the proposed mitigations tonight met those criteria. And it's forcing our hands on the noise wall, which is our only option to protect our children, our neighborhood, and others from increased noises, and a destruction of property values. Destroying the safety zones and property values of neighborhoods that have been established for over 2 decades is reckless. Council members, your citizens need to be heard on this, and you can actually create your own legacy for a safe road for families for the next 30, 70, 150 years. Thank you.
I'm going to get the buzzer tonight. I'm at 2 minutes and 13 seconds. I'll try. Gary Jones, 995 Ridge Road. After all these meetings and several hundred hours of work, one huge accomplishment was Jenna stating the ladders are gone and climbing sticks only are in use in 2024, and they have to take the lower section with them. Nothing left unattended for a kid to climb. On the 2024 Hunt application, it says, I quote, full ladders are not acceptable, climbing sticks required, end quote. But it does not say the hunters must take the bottom section each time. This is not getting rid of the ladder liability and going from bad to worse, as climbing sticks are attached loosely to a tree by straps and bungee cords, and they're wobbly and dangerous. When asked, MJ said, we'll make sure to address this with the participants when they meet with Logan and Danny, end quote. The hunters did not agree to removing climbing sticks when they signed the form. Why would they comply this year with a rule they didn't sign, which may be a nuisance for them? Why was this critical point left off, and how do they enforce it after the fact? This is a major slip-up that cancels any safety gain by ladder removal, and I think probably needs a little discussion. Secondly, on the application, the hunters were asked, and I quote, weekly communication with MJ is required by Friday each week, reporting how many days you went out and how many deer you saw each time. This data is necessary for end-of-year reporting to the council and public and aids in program justification, end quote. I cannot believe this statement is even on the app. So after hearing me talk repeatedly about needing a deer count, Owatonna's answer to a deer count is to have hunters count the deer? They have a vested interest in continuing the program. Whether knowingly or unknowingly, they can be counting the same deer over and over. Anyone ever participate in the annual Christmas bird count in Owatonna? You can only count the largest group of birds you see one time every day, or you're counting the same birds over and over again. Anyone who has done this kind of count knows that. This deer count done by hunters sounds like a great way to inflate the number of deer that may or may not be there. You need a professional count by an independent third party on one day only, like our Metro friends do, not just hunters reporting to MJ. On the positive side, I have a great deer plan that has worked for one of our North Metro neighbors and is tried and true, not an experiment, and I will email this to you. You'll like this. It is a plan to emulate, organized, and a win-win for park goers, homeowners, and hunters. Please look at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak this evening? If not, then we'll move on to our council comments. And first up tonight is Doug.
All right, I get to go first. That's nice. I actually have a couple of things here, 3 things. First of all, thank you to the Owatonna Police Department, the Owatonna Foundation for the new speed signs near the schools, if everybody's seen them. That's a couple of schools I think they got done. Hopefully we could end up getting them at every school. I think they're really good, make you slow down. Second item, I've been by the Vine Street parking lot at least 3 times today because it's very exciting for some of us. If you didn't know, that actually started as a discussion in our EDA board 5-6 years ago, probably, Troy. And a lot of dominoes had to fall through the process to make all that happen, and it's really cool to see it coming to a head here, so fun to see that. And then lastly, I'd like to just thank all the people up in the 3rd Avenue area. Thanks to council members Fenby, Chief Mondale. We had an amazing turnout of people show up at our meeting that night. I counted 65. I think that was about accurate. And while we don't have any absolute answers to make people go slower, we made a lot of progress. We have a great list. We're doing some follow-up meetings next week, and hopefully we can help those folks out. It's just great to see all the people show up that are really concerned, and hopefully we can help mitigate that problem. So, thank you.
Yep, thank you, Doug. Nate?
Nothing to add.
Dave?
Nothing to add tonight.
Dan?
Nothing to add.
Kevin?
It's my understanding that 24 years ago, Mr. Dotson was homecoming king in this community. So you have to wonder, who would vote for him for homecoming king?
Wondered that for years.
24 years later, Greg Schultz, his granddaughter Isabella, was in the top 12. And when you graduate averaging 350 students a year, that's a great feat. And so congratulations. Obviously, this is homecoming week. There's a lot of festivities going on at the school, a lot of activities outside of school. With the culmination of the parade Friday afternoon, looks like it's going to be beautiful weather. If you're able to attend, please attend. As Councilmember Voss said, the Vine Street parking lot is shut down, so you might want to get there a little bit earlier. Parking is always a challenge down there. When you put 6,000 people downtown, you have parking issues. So enjoy the week. Mr. Havelka, I thought you were going to come up and say something tonight, but we'll save that for another meeting. That's it.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Brent?
Yeah, I received an email last week from a constituent with a concern on a property that has a rooster in town. And in looking into that further, it looks like we have to go through a nuisance complaint on that. So I think we should need to look at establishing an ordinance for chickens that prohibits roosters in the community. So I think I want to address staff to bring something forward to us to look at, and possible adoption of a ordinance that would allow chickens in the communities but prohibit roosters. There's plenty of communities out there that we can look at to get a ordinance to. So I guess to just look for some direction on that. That's all I have.
Great, thank you, Brent. Mayor?
We filled 2 committees tonight. I still need some applications for the EDA, Economic Development Authority. So if anybody out there is interested in serving on that committee, the form is on the website to fill out. Please take a look at it and submit your name.
Great, thank you. And Chris?
Nothing further.
Nothing from you? Well, Kevin kind of stole my thunder tonight. I was at coronation last night at the high school, and congratulations to our new homecoming king and queen. And I was a proud grandpa. My granddaughter Isabella was in the top 12, and I got to see her on stage, and there she'll be part of the royalty at the parade, which was very exciting. The only sad part for me was my mother wasn't there to see it. She passed away not too long ago, and she was homecoming queen in 1954 in Owatonna. So she would have been quite excited to see the whole process. But we got an exciting week coming up. There's lots of sports activities at the high school. I can't believe all the sports activities there are. A football game Friday night, and we should all go out there and support our youth. So with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to approve.
And by Brent, do I hear a second? Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
That's the 30 seconds before the meeting was long.